What's good, YouTube? It's Rico here, and I've got a deck profile for a deck that I took to a OTS championship over the weekend on Sunday, and managed to get top four with. It was pretty good. It was a bit bittersweet because this is the last tournament in general that my local game store is having before closing down. The owner's retiring, and we've known about this for a while now, and we knew that this would be the last one. So it was nice that I was able to get top four at the last OTS championship, especially because like earlier in the year I had won one of them. It would have been nice to win again, but I mean, honestly, I'll take a top four, especially because uh, having to retool things with the change in format around like Nibiru and stuff like that has been a bit of a growing pain. Uh, but yeah, so it was about like 38 players or something like that, and it was 6 rounds of Swiss and then top 8 cut, and I managed to go X2 in Swiss and then made it to top 4 before getting knocked out to against the guy who eventually won the whole thing. But yeah, I played Burning Abyss Orcust. This is probably really weird option to most people, but basically this is an extension of like the 3-axis build that I used at the Maryland Regional a few weeks ago and got top 8 with. Same similar idea, it's just that the line of play is a little different in that you go to Appaloosa before you do anything else, just to stop Nibiru from happening. And just like, I don't know, I'll explain it more when I get into it, but basic rundown of how it went. I won first round against a guy playing like Mystic Mine, anti-Orcust, like there can be only one floodgate layer of darkness shit that I burned him in time eventually. I had to play through like 6 floodgates in that entire match, and then I played against Pendulum, and I just won the die roll game 1, and then he bricked game 2. And then I played against Trap Tricks, which is, again, I won the die roll, so I just won games 1 and 3. And then I lost to my friend Peter Lozier, who was playing Sky Striker, and he ended up getting 2nd place in the event. I mostly lost to There Can Be Only One, which is just how that matchup is at this point. And then I lost to OTK going 2nd Orcust just by like opening weak. Well, game 1 I opened weak, and then game 2 he opened like 5 outs to like my entire board. And then round 5 and 6, I don't even remember what I played against. I really don't remember what I played against round 5. Round 6 was my friend was playing also Burning Abyss Orcust, but he misplayed like really badly game 2. So he just scooped. I don't remember what I played round 5. But yeah, let's just get into it. And I actually recorded another video of this like a few days ago, but for some reason, it was on my phone. For some reason, I can't upload it to YouTube. Like the app's just being shit. And yeah, so I'm just gonna re-record this. So yeah, so first off for the Burning Abyss monsters, 1 Alec, 1 Barbar, 1 Cagna, 1 Calcab, 1 Seer, 1 Graph, 1 Dragig, 1 Farfa, 1 Libic, 1 Rubik, and 1 Skarm. So yeah, it is one of every single monster of the Burning Abyss. And the most important ones are obviously Graph, Seer, and Libic. So the reason I ended up doing this idea was that there was a user on Pojo, I believe it was Knight, who gave me the idea to play around Nibiru by having Cherubini dump Graph to summon Seer, and at that point you've summoned 5 times. So you warp your line of plays into a way where you're not like stopping Nibiru from happening, but you're putting them in a position where if they Nibiru you, you're either floating off of Seer to revive Cherubini, or you've made Ib, so you're going to float into the World Chalice card, at which point in either situation you can continue with the Orcust play. So I really liked that idea, and I rolled with it, and it was really good, but what I didn't like about it was that the Burning Abyss cards by themselves were pretty bricky. Like, you already run Libic to circumvent drawing Graph or Seer, but then, like, at the same time, none of them are still that great to draw. So I figured, like, well, how can I make this better? And I realized that if you just play more Burning Abyss cards, then Graph and Libic are no longer bad to draw. Seer is still kind of bad to draw, but there's really no way around that. So I realized that the Burning Abyss cards are all level 3 monsters, which is the entire game plan of the deck is just spam out level 3s to make Cherubini into the Ib combo and then just go off. So the rest of those are mostly just names, but their effects do have a surprising amount of utility that to me justified playing this version over like a lesser BA focus and more like the 3-axis build. Like obviously not Rubik or Cagna because their effects are like literally not relevant in any way whatsoever. But Barbar Burning for Game has come up like at least 5 times. I've used Dragig to like stack Graph on top of my deck and then mill it or draw it. Farfa just banishing to push for games. Skarm can start Tour Guide in the end phase if I just have an extra extender. Calcap bouncing a set. I haven't actually used Alec a lot, but like just monster effect negation is never bad. So yeah, like these are mostly names, but their effects do have utility that comes up, and that's probably my favorite thing about the Burning Abyss cards is that they're just so versatile in what they do. But yeah, the main core was these 3, but I'm definitely glad I played all 11. And the reason I didn't like play multiples of some of the better ones is just that I wanted to make it so that I never had 2 of the same Burning Abyss, and therefore one of them was dead. So I just played 1 of each. And then for other level 3 extenders, 3 Rhino and Tour Guide. Rhino kind of fulfilled the same role that like Scrap Recycler did in the last one, where it's like it dumped something else along with what I'm dumping with Cherubini. I was gonna play Mathematician in like the version that didn't focus on all the BAs, because Mathematician would dump Carbonetin and then Cherubini would dump Graph. But I realized that with the higher Burning Abyss count, Rhino Warrior not only works with the Burning Abyss cards, but it also fulfilled the same thing, it's just that he dumps Graph instead. But yeah, he was really good. Just having him resolve is insane, and then Tour Guide is just broken. If you resolve Tour Guide, you win. Yeah. And then 3 Gallus. This is not a 37 monster deck, like there's no Sekka's Light, but it is a 35 monster deck. I'm only running 4 spells and 1 trap. So like the odds of this missing are obscenely low. I think I like ran the math on it. It's like 5%, like of all games you're gonna activate Gallus and whiff with it. And it's an absurdly good like level 3 extender. It's a literally free level 3, and it also just like burns, which is amazing in time. So yeah. I actually kind of wish I played that in the other version just because it's so good. For dangers, I just played 2 Jackalope and 2 Sujinoko. I didn't play Nessie because Nessie's just kind of awkward with the way the deck's direction has gone. Whereas, like, before Nibiru, when I just needed bodies, so, like, I didn't need to do the Appaloosa play with Cherubini, but it was just, like, a good flex into Ib, and Ib was still the main focus with the Orcust. Back then, Nessie was fine, but now where my number 1 plan is going into Cherubini to set up the Appaloosa plus Ib play, it just made Nessie really awkward because it's never a card that like you really want to start with. So it's only a situation where it's really good is if it gets discarded, and I can't really control that. So I decided to just drop Nessie and play other level 3 extenders, but then keep these in because they're just really good. And I didn't really miss Nessie at all. 1 tracker and 1 wielder, just more level 3 extenders. I usually side these ones out just because I think they're the worst ones because they rely on having another level 3 monster to work. So they're a bit more situational than the rest, and they conflict with dangers because of that. But yeah. And then for the Orcust cards, it's just standard lineup. 3 Harp, 2 Nightmare, 1 Symbol, 1 Wand, 1 World Chalice for Ib. I considered playing the World Chalice Guard Dragon because I realized you can revive Galaxy Serpent with it to extend. But a lot of the times, at the point where you would be able to revive the Galaxy Serpent, you've already made the Nightmare play, at which point the Galaxy Serpent doesn't really do anything. So, for that reason, I didn't run it. I was also running a version that played the Guard Dragon package. So it was basically the same board, but it also threw Hot Red out, and it also ran Sekka's Light, just so for extra like draw power and consistency. I really liked the ceiling of that build, and in hindsight, I think I should have played it. The reason I didn't is because it compromised the extra deck of like Orcust cards and ruined the grind game. But the way I built the deck, I don't enter the grind game very often anyway, and even when I do, I'm usually in a bad spot. So in hindsight, maybe it would have been better to play that version. But I don't know. Fact of the matter is I didn't play for this. And then I also, to add on to the Orcust engine, I play Gizmo Karochi. The card's insane. I can't believe I didn't play this at the regional. Like, I just straight up won several games at the OTS just by playing this. And then the last monsters are Carbonettin and Galaxy Serpent, the entire reason this idea works in the first place. And then, for spells, Emergency Teleport, Foolish Burial, Babble, and Succession. Those are all obvious. They're all engine pieces except for Foolish Burial, which is just generically useful. I would side it out sometimes, depending on, like, matchup. And then Emergency Teleport's just grab Wielder and Tracker, and then I side it out if I side them out. And then Crescendo. I cut Upstart Goblin just because I needed to fit Gizmek Orochi somehow, and I decided that I couldn't cut any of the other cards in the deck. So I sucked it up and just didn't play Upstart for this event. But it was worth it because Gizmek Orochi was just that good. But yeah, that was the main 40 cards. For extra deck, Cherubini, one of the two centerpieces of the deck. 3 Galatea. I considered cutting this to 2 just to fit another card that I'll get to later. It was between this or Nightmare Cerberus, and I eventually decided that of the two, Galatea was the better card, like the third copy of Galatea, because Nightmare Cerberus, as much as it comes up every time I cut it, and it did come up on Sunday when I cut it, I don't actually think Nightmare Cerberus is that good of a card. And if you're in a situation where, like, you do the Nightmare play, and then you have the means to do another, like, make another Nightmare, the game's probably gone on longer than you wanted it to. So, like, more often than not, like, that second Nightmare just never comes up. And I felt like the third Galatea would come up more. So I ended up just cutting Nightmare Cerberus. Also, because of Cherubini, it's not hard for this version to make Unicorn. So I really didn't feel like I needed to cut Unicorn. I felt like Cerberus was the worst card. Longirsu, Appaloosa. So basically, like, the line is that, like, you get, like, Cherubini out, and then you've dumped Carbonettin or Graph, like, gotten one of them into the graveyard, and then you just, like, get Seer and or Ib on the board, and then you just do the full Orcust play, and you end on, like, this Borreload Savage, Dingirsu, Galatea counter trap, which was, like, similar to how it was just the same board as I did at the regional, but the line is different where you make Appaloosa first, whereas in the regional version, you made Appaloosa in the middle of the combo. Yeah. Boral Sword, that card's just a game. The 3 Nightmares, everything but Cerberus. And then 2 Dingirsu, and then the card I cut Cerberus for was 1 Dante. So I guess the name of the deck is a little misleading because I don't have... It's not a Burning Abyss focus deck, it just plays the Burning Abyss cards as an engine. So, like, there's no Beatrice, there's no double Dante, there's no, like, Pilgrim or anything like that. But I do think there's enough of a BA focus for it to be considered a BA deck. And the reason I played the 1 Dante is because if you have an extra level 3 extender in your hand as you're doing the plays, so, like, if you have Ib and Seer and Appaloosa, and you have an extra level 3, then you can summon that, overlay it with Seer to make Dante, and then when you go for the Appaloosa play, Seer will revive Dante, and Dante will put Seer back in your hand, and then when you link Dante off for the Orcust play, then you'll put another Burning Abyss in your hand, which is usually just going to be immediately discarded again. But the point is that you set up the whole play, but you also put Seer back in your hand, so you have follow-up plays for the next turn. And basically, you just get, like, 2 cards for 1. And this came up a lot more than Nightmare Cerberus did, and so I'm definitely really glad I played it. It didn't come up a lot on Sunday, but every local where I've played this, like, I've summoned Dante so many times, so. And it also, like, makes hands where you draw, like, Carbonettin less awkward because you can normal summon the Carbonettin and then overlay it with Seer and make Dante that way, and then just detach and mill 1 to get the Carbonettin into the graveyard, and then you've got your whole play there, too. And then the last cards are Ib or Borosword, the other centerpiece of the deck, my favorite card in the game right now, and in my opinion, the best card in the game right now. Or at least the best monster. Best card might be something else that I'm not thinking of. And then side deck, played 3 Lancia. Ended up putting this back in because, as recent trends of YCSs and regionals have shown, the combo deck of choice is, in fact, Orcust. So, yeah. Didn't end up seeing it at all, even when I did side it for, like, mirrors. Actually, I don't even know if I sided it at all. Yeah. 3 Pankratops. I had a flex spot that was either going to be like this, Mind Control, or Impermanence. I could have seen myself playing Impermanence, but I feel like a lot of combo decks have like evolved to the point where like a single Impermanence doesn't really stop them. And I figured that there would be a lot of like rogue floodgate bullshit running around, and there was. So that's why I ended up playing Pankratops. In hindsight, I severely disrespected Luna Light Orcust, which is the deck that ended up knocking me out in top 4 and was the deck that won the whole tournament. I didn't realize just like how absurd that deck was because I haven't really been paying attention since the regional. And if I had kept that in mind, I probably would have played no material. I would have just picked them up and used them. But yeah, but I played Pankratops. I don't think I actually ever saw it. Big Rock. Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't know how I feel about this card's existence in the game. I get what they were trying to do by trying to curb combo, but I think the better thing would have been to just ban the cards that are broken in combo, because like I don't think anything I do with this deck is fair. But like just making it so that you tell them that it's like, yeah, you can still play this broken shit, but you might just lose for it. Like I don't like that from a design perspective, but the fact of the matter is that Nibiru is in the game, so now we gotta play around it. 3 Twin Twisters, just for back row stuff, and then 3 Eradicator. I straight up won my match against Traptrix with this, and then I won game 2 of my match against Sky Striker with this. So yeah, Eradicator's broken. And yeah, that was the entire deck. It worked fairly well. I think it could have gone a little bit better if I like tweaked some things, or just like even just played the Guard Dragon version, just like thrown caution to the wind and just like made it so like I'm gonna set up my board and I'm gonna win, or I'm gonna not and probably lose. But I don't know. I wanted to have the better grind game, and then that actually just like never came up. So I don't know. It was fine. I mean, obviously I got top 4 at the OTS championship. That's like another invite to Nat, so I've gotten 2 invites this season. I think this is actually the first season where I've gotten 2 invites. Usually just because like when I get my first invite, I stop giving a shit and then just don't go to regionals. Or like if I do go to a regional, I'm again not giving a shit, so I just underperform. But yeah, so yeah, it was fine. I think the idea definitely worked out. Shoutouts to Knight on Puzzle for giving me the idea of using Graph and Seer. That's where this entire idea like sprang into mind. I don't know what I'll be doing for events in the future. Maryland kind of just got bodied and like screwed over in terms of events for Chaos Impact. Like we've got nothing. So I don't know the next thing I'll be doing. Will probably be after the ban list, which point the Orcust engine might just be dead. So yeah. Yeah, that's all. I'll see you guys next time.